The 82nd Division plan fell completely to pieces. Those landings have begun. There's 5 of you?
That's correct, sir.
Go, go, go! Get down, down! I might have something for you. Biz Ramsey. He is the highest-ranking SS officer currently in the field. If we take him out, we buy ourselves enough time to get our men off the beach.
Well, hi, everybody. How are you today? This is Mark Chaffardini. Thanks for coming back to the Go See Talk podcast experience. We are thrilled and delighted to have our next guest on the show, William Moseley, best actor if you want to go anywhere in the realms of fantastical, farcical, whimsical, wizardry, historical, hilarity, and a whole lot more. William, thanks for being on the show. How's things in your world?
Thank you, Mark, so much for having me. Yeah, everything is fantastic. I'm very grateful to be on your podcast, and obviously I have a new film coming out, which is very exciting. So yeah, everything is good.
That's excellent. That's excellent. You know, I was watching Murder Company. I watched The Ballad of Davy Crockett. I've watched all three of the Chronicles of Narnia. If you got into that series pretty early on, so what is there anything that you could think of, you know, as you're running through the woods with Joe Anderson and Pooch Hall? Did you ever think that you would be doing more of a historical type thing, as you know, doing really fun farcical stuff at a young age, and then now you're doing something historical?
I am honestly, well, you know what's interesting is Narnia starts. This is quite an interesting little tie here. People are going to be like, how did that, you know, this guy, what's he spinning here? Okay, so bear with me. Narnia 1, The Language of Wardrobe, starts with the kids on the train, and that's during World War II, the Blitz, during the bombing of London. I think it's like 1939, 1940. Cut to now. This is D-Day, the invasion of D-Day, 1944. And so, you know, I've aged 20 years since those movies, so now I'm able to play one of the soldiers fighting the Nazis 20 years later, but only 4 years from Narnia to then. Okay, that was a bit of a long way of saying they are the same time period. Yeah, there we go.
Well, I love that it is. It's a very important element and time in U.S. and world history that people probably have never heard of. I personally never heard of Murder Company, but I love that it is such a small band of characters. And I wonder, even in scenes running through the woods and coming up on these little farmhouses, it felt almost like theater, like a stage play. How was your approach to working with this very small cast and making an impact?
Yeah, I think it's very important that I think it was very important from the beginning that we felt like we were really close, that there was real chemistry, there was real emotion between us, so that, you know, if one of us is injured, or, you know, if one of us, like, if we're going into battle together, that it feels like we are connected. And we kind of achieved that really through Shane Taylor, our director. You know, Shane used to work for ESPN, and so he knows a lot about sports. He knows all these sports guys. He knows so much about it that, and I think he wanted us to feel like we were a sports team and that he was with us on the field. And so we had a lot of dinners together. We obviously shot 16, 17-hour days. Sometimes we did like weapons training together. We would all watch Band of Brothers when we went back to our hotel room. We hit the gym together. Like, we made sure that we were connected. And I think that kind of comes through in the making of the film. I mean, also, we shot this film in 12 days. So it was a very, very fast shoot. And there are times where people are struggling. You know, they're tired, and one guy lifts another guy up. So we were very lucky that we did all care for each other during the making of the film.
Well, I think I'm so glad you said that, because I picked up on how the chemistry and how I guess they call it camaraderie, worked. As soon as the first scene, when you come, the camera spins on you coming in, you're hung on the parachute from the tree, and then you and Pooch are working together. And I just felt like it seemed like you guys knew each other. So I think that really came through the screen almost about as awesome as your accent. I mean, I was like, holy, who is this guy? This is William Moseley. Wow, he's like Christian Bale, Michael Caine, like actor of the highest merit. I'm really amazed at the work you did.
That's unbelievably kind of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciated that, because sometimes I get a little nervous. Like, does this sound right? Did I get that quite right? But you know, I trusted the guys around me that if my accent wasn't 100%, they would call me out on it. Often sometimes I stay in the accent the whole time, but actually that sometimes can add a whole level that can make you feel tired. You know, like if you kind of stay in the accent all day, it can be a whole nother thing that makes you also kind of exhausted. So I just made sure, like, I was really listening to the way that everybody speaks around me. I'd done my work, like I kind of knew how the rhythm, like I had it together. And also when you play an American soldier, don't play it as a British guy. This is not a British soldier. Like, don't do the American soldiers a disservice. So when they watch it, they go, that guy sounds British. Like, he's not even American. Like, get it right. You know, get yourself together and get it right. So I'm very grateful you said that. Similarly with Pooch, you know, Pooch has got a great sense of humor. You can't talk to him for a minute without him making you laugh. So it was like, as soon as I see his face, it makes me laugh. And actually in that first scene, to tell a story, we had scorpions in the woods on that day. And actually, in that first scene when I'm talking to him, a scorpion came up to my shoulder, came onto my chin strap, came to here. This is in a take. And I saw Pooch's eyes go wide. I was like, what's he doing? He just slapped me in the face and slapped the scorpion from my face. But yeah, I actually have the footage. So if ever you want it, let me know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll hit you up as soon as we get done with this. Well, you know, how difficult is it to work with other people who are doing other accents? Because I heard Joe Anderson. I was like, this guy seems like the coolest guy on the planet. I was like, wait, he's from the UK. Stop taking our jobs, guys. Stop doing. No, but it was like, so how do you like parry each other? It's like, well, if I'm going to come in with this aspect, I want it to be this. Do you work like in tandem?
Well, everybody works differently. That's the interesting thing about acting. Everybody has their own individual method of working. I don't think there's one actor who works the same as another actor. And Joe stays in the accent most of the day. And you know, I think Joe's one of the best actors I've actually ever worked with, to be completely honest with you. His intensity with his character, he reminds me of like Christian Bale or someone like that, because his intensity is so committed. He's so present. Like, he did the scene where he got shot, and I mean, really looked like he was just acting. It really looked like he was getting shot. It was absolutely extraordinary. So I try to learn from Joe, and I talk to him a lot, and I try to ask him questions and what he does, and so I took a lot from him actually, and I was very grateful to work with Joe.
Okay. Well, I want to throw another hat tip, high five, golf clap your way. I was really impressed with On the Air, and I liked how that played out. And without spoiling it, it reminded me of a very famous David Fincher movie, the way the plot progressed and progressed. So I'm sure you read thousands of scripts. When you get something, whether it is Murder Company or On the Air, do you ever say to yourself, this reminds me of this movie, but in order for it not to be like that movie, I'm going to do this? Like, how do you put your own Moseley spin on something?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to correct you 1 second. It's on the line. On the line.
Bugger!
That's all right, don't worry. But to answer your question, that was a film where I was working with Mel Gibson. And if you work with someone like Mel Gibson, you bring your A game. You don't like not bring everything you've got, because Mel Gibson was to me like a bona fide movie star when I was growing up. That guy was the guy. You know, he was lethal. He was in Lethal Weapon. He was in Mad Max. He was in The Patriot. He was in Braveheart. And then he went on to direct some of the best films of all time, like Apocalypto. I absolutely loved Apocalypto. And that's actually Mel's favorite movie. So when I came to that character, I just made sure I fully committed 100%. I didn't leave anything at the door. Every day I was totally present. And Mel's one of those guys that you listen to. You know, like if he has a piece of advice, like you take it. Like Kelsey Grammer. You know, when you work with guys like that, they've been around the block, they know, you listen. It's really that simple.
Well, I mean, again, your entire career trajectory has been weapons and suits, and you look good in pretty much anything. But what is the most difficult bit of, I guess, weapons training, whether it is verbal weapons, trying to spit out, repartee to somebody, or is it holding a sword or a gun? What has been the most difficult for you to get involved with?
Two things have been really challenging in my career. There's only two. I can both of them with a horse. One was in the second Narnia movie when I vaulted on a galloping horse that was leaving a castle. I had to grab the saddle and kick a guy and then land on the back of the horse. That was really hard because the boots I was wearing, the ground was slippery. It was difficult. And the second one was in Davy Crockett when I had to rope like a kind of a branch, like a huge branch on the ground and pull it across while I was galloping at the same time. And the horse, you never know what a horse is going to do. And a horse can spook, the horse hated the boom, for instance, on that film. So I literally had to ask the boom guy, please don't be right next to the horse when I'm galloping, because I don't really have control of the horse. You don't, I'm not fully in control of the animal at that point. And if he just goes like this, I'm going. And so I also was trained by these cowboys who were real cowboys, and I didn't want to let them down. I didn't want to let them down on the day that we did the stunt. I missed it, to be honest with you. I missed it twice, the branch, but I hit it on the third time, and I made it, and I'm so happy. But when you see the shot, I've got it could be anyone, to be honest with you. The cowboy hat's over my eyes. It could be anybody, but I still did it. So those were only the two things I can think of.
Well, excellent. Well, there's a shot in Murder Company where the soldiers are, I wouldn't say bounding, it's the wrong word, but you're traversing these huge rocks. And I can just imagine that's probably got to be more difficult than you expect, both with the pitch and the slippage. I mean, how did you manage to do that so gracefully?
I think it's really important when you do those scenes to not look like you're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to break my ankle right now. You sort of have to look, you sort of act that you're confident, even if you're not. But we did map the route before we did it. We walked it a couple of times and then we all did it together. And, it's very important that we were all in the frame. One guy wasn't coming in and out this side, one of the guy falling down this side. We had to make sure that, and I think we actually got it wrong 4 or 5 times, but we did it. And actually it was such a beautiful place. It's in Bulgaria, in the mountains. It just was this absolutely stunning place to film. So luckily, yeah, it all worked on the day. Nobody hurt themselves.
Acting at its finest. Excellent. Well, before we let you go, I have one question. I love your short stint as Wheeler in the Don Cheadle as Captain Planet.
My God, that's so funny you bring that up.
If I got it right, you said something to the effect of you never watched the show, you didn't even know what you're doing until you got on the day. How difficult was that versus any other thing that we just came in completely blind?
I think that was quite fun. That was quite it was just one of the things where my agent was like, do you want to do this Funny or Die sketch? And I was like, I mean, what is it? He's like, oh, you just don't do that. I was like, okay, that sounds fun. So it just showed up and I did it. And yeah, it was funny because even my cousin saw that. I didn't think anybody was ever going to see that. But that video kind of went viral somehow. But yeah, it was fun and it was great.
Excellent. Well, whether you're having a laugh at yourself or wielding something to the finish line and saving a kingdom, you want William Moseley by your side. Check out Murder Company next month, and we will catch you next time. William, thank you ever so much for your time.
Thanks so much. July 5th in select cinemas and on demand. Thank you, guys.
Take care of yourself.
All right. Bye. Bye.
If your man can get me close to him, I will kill him.
If we want to help win the war, this is how we're going to do it.
6 men beyond enemy lines, fighting an entire German division.
This is why we came, gentlemen. Let's get this done.